Not only will this video cover the basics of how to play the Pokemon TCG, it's going to have a lot of really good habits that are going to improve your game overall. Whether you're new or seasoned in the world of Pokemon, there is no better time to get into the Pokemon TCG. With the new Scarlet and Violet 151 set releasing soon, featuring all the original Pokemon, both rookies and veterans are in for a treat. So how do you play the Pokemon TCG? Well, it's simple. You need a 60 card deck, which includes Pokemon energy, items, and trainer cards. Just remember, besides basic energy cards, you cannot have more than 4 of the same card. And that includes, if you have a Pokemon, it's a separate card, it's a completely different card, but it's the same Pokemon, that counts. If you're just starting out, it might be a good idea to try out a pre-built deck. I highly recommend you try out TCG Live. It's actually what you see in the background right here. It's a great way to practice. It gives you some insanely competitive starter decks, and it's free. Once you get the hang of it, you can start crafting your own deck to feature your favorite Pokemon or your playstyle. The best part, in my opinion, is coming up with a deck all on your own, making it work. But you know, granted, nowadays it's very competitive, so it's not a bad idea either just to Google what the current meta Pokemon decks are, price them out, and see which fits you best. Now, starting a game is easy. You flip a coin, heads or tails, see who plays first, shuffle your decks, draw 7 cards, and you set aside the top 6 cards as your prize cards. So you claim these each time you defeat an opponent's Pokemon. Don't forget to read the rule box on your opponent's Pokemon, because some cards, like V cards, V Max, and EX cards, give you more than just 1 prize card, so something to keep in mind, guys. And if you grab all 6 of your prize cards before your opponent, you win. Now, you start with 1 basic Pokemon in play, and you can have up to 5 more on your bench. You can never have more than a total of 6 Pokemon in play at a time unless you have another card making that possible. If you don't have any basic Pokemon in your starting hand, don't worry, you can draw again, but be aware each time you do this, your opponent gets an extra card. Now let's talk about turns. At the start, you draw a card. If you run out and can't draw, you lose. In your turn, you can play Pokemon to your bench, attach energy cards, evolve Pokemon, play items and trainer cards. You can retreat your active Pokemon, usually sacrificing some energy attached, and use your Pokemon's abilities. Now, it's also important to keep in mind, as far as trainer cards go, if it is a supporter trainer card, you can only use 1 per turn. Now, when you're ready to attack, make sure you have the correct amount of energy and the correct type of energy required. You're going to see on those attacks that there's different types of energy that may be required for certain attacks. Now, damage is assigned to your opponent's active Pokemon as damage counters. Once your opponent's Pokemon takes damage equal to its HP, it faints and must be replaced. As for special conditions, this includes sleep, burn, confuse, and poison. They each have a different effect on the way the Pokemon is played. Now, when Pokemon is asleep, it indicates with a token or by turning the card to the left. While the Pokemon is asleep, they cannot attack or retreat. After your turn, flip a coin. If heads, your Pokemon wakes up. If tails, they stay asleep. When your Pokemon is burned, it indicated with a token, and at the end of your turn, all burnt Pokemon take 20 damage. After taking damage from this condition, flip a coin. If heads, your Pokemon is no longer burned. Otherwise, your Pokemon remains burned until it retreats. When a Pokemon is confused, indicate it by turning the card upside down. Confused Pokemon must flip a coin after they declare an attack. If heads, the attack happens as normal. If tails, the attack is canceled and the attacking Pokemon takes 30 damage instead. This condition remains until your Pokemon is either retreated or becomes asleep or paralyzed. When your Pokemon is paralyzed, it indicated with a token or by turning the card to the right. While a Pokemon is paralyzed, they cannot attack or retreat on their next turn. This condition is removed at the end of your turn. Pokemon is poisoned, and this is the final one, guys. I know this is a lot of information. Indicate it with a token. While poisoned, a Pokemon takes 10 damage between each turn. The condition remains until your Pokemon retreats. There are some other ways to remove these effects, and this is important to keep track of and remember. You can evolve the Pokemon, and that will remove that effect. Move the Pokemon to your bench, and that will remove the effect as well. That's a very good strategy. And you can also use an item that cures this condition. Now, there's not a lot of items that do that, and there are some out there, but it's not something I usually run in my decks. But I don't forget, and I can't stress this enough, thoroughly read the cards you play. Some Pokemon have some incredible abilities you might not be taking advantage of, or at least not often enough. Lastly, winning the game can be achieved in several ways. You can knock out 6 of your opponent's Pokemon, collect the prize cards. You can defeat your opponent's active Pokemon, and if they have no replacements, or if you have no Pokemon to put back onto your active spot, then you would lose, or if that is your opponent, you would win. And if your opponent cannot draw any more cards at the start of their turn and their deck is empty, then you win also. Sharpen your strategies, take on the world of Pokemon TCG, and as always, stay sharp. Feel free to drop any questions down below. 5K subs, 5 prizes, 5 winners.